thanks everyone for coming today. Excited to share our story with you. It is a different story than you've likely heard during this conference. So EnviroGold Global, and give me just a second here, is the, I guess I should ask, is there a slide change mechanism?
Yes, right here is.
Perfect.
Put the big green box.
Got it. Perfect. So EnviroGold Global, we are a clean technology company. We're focused on transforming the world's overabundance of waste into precious and critical resources. We have a robust IP portfolio, 21 patents and designs, and our first project, which is the Hellyer Tailings Project, our flagship project, we've been developing that for 24 years. We've developed a proprietary two-stage leach that's proven very effective at liberating precious metals from highly pyritic VMS polymetallic tailings. The $350 million in total free cash flow there, expected to begin next year. That number coming from our recently updated 43-101 technical report for the project. So we have an outstanding team, and it's really a clean metal story fundamentally. We've done the detailed Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions analysis for our Hellyer project. We expect to produce gold equivalent ounces about 96% lower carbon footprint than industry average. And the other feature I'd highlight of the company before we get into looking at the project portfolio is the quality of our team. We have an outstanding team, about 500 years of combined mining, metals, capital markets experience. We're led by Dr. Mark Thorpe, chairman of the Canada Mining Innovation Council. So a very, very experienced team and a really exciting project portfolio here. So our story begins with something of a dilemma. The world needs more metals. We know from the World Bank that the clean energy transition is going to require about 3 billion tons of additional metals. So the world is demanding more metals, but we also know that it's a challenging environment for mining companies, for conventional mining companies. I should say we're very much pro-mining. Most of us on the team, including myself, have an extractive mining background. Nevertheless, we think that given the world's demand for metals and the increasing demand, we think alternative methods of resource recovery and metal production are going to be required. We think that's where EnviroGold is capitalizing on a really exciting opportunity. So again, our focus is on global tailings, and what makes us unique from conventional companies that have approached tailings in the past is that we are looking at really a global opportunity set. And we're fundamentally a technology company. We don't typically own the assets. We identify projects that we think are attractive. We engage mine site owners in a profit-sharing agreement. And essentially what we do is we use about 2-3 dozen high-level screening characteristics to identify attractive projects, everything from metallurgy, tons, grades. Jurisdiction, of course, is very important to us. We prioritize projects that are permitted. We prioritize projects where there's an operating mine. That way we can have a fast path to commercial production there. And as I mentioned, we're looking at a global opportunity set. So there's about 280 billion metric tons of tailings worldwide. About 4% of the 350 sites or so that we've analyzed in some detail meet our initial screening criteria before we go into the desktop modeling and the metallurgical analysis. So we're very specific in what we look for. 4% of 280 billion is still 11.8 billion, so a lot of material that could potentially fall into our market segment. And we have a very robust project portfolio. Again, we're just under 3 years old as a company. We went public last year. We've got about 8 major projects on our pipeline right now, worth about $10 billion in revenue potential. 2 of those projects are already subject to the binding definitive commercial agreements. We expect we'll announce a 3rd project in the near term this quarter and a 4th project at the beginning of the 1st quarter next year. Both of those projects are in Mexico. And I should just say what we found, and we didn't necessarily plan for this to happen, but what we found is that the really exciting opportunities in the tailing space tend to be refractory. They tend to be polymetallic. They tend to be volcanogenic massive sulfide and highly pyritic. And that's really where our 2-stage acid leach has demonstrated very, very effective recovery rates north of 80% for gold and 90% for silver, as you see here in the Australia project. A little bit of an overview of our IP portfolio. Again, IP is really our business model. In the future, we think we will take a little bit of sort of a royalty approach, which would give us scale and exposure to additional projects. We have Tier 1 development projects, Core Resources, a global Albion process partner for Glencore, has been our flow sheet development partner, all of our data through Core Resources, so excellent third-party validation for what we're doing. And we've retained Sedgman to be essentially the mine site operator for this Hellyer Tailings project. So what we do best, originate projects, develop technical solutions, the technical innovation, then we're bringing in strategic partners to bring these projects into production. A little bit of an overview of our project portfolio here. So on your left would be the Hellyer Tailings Project. Again, that is a contracted project. We expect to get into production next year in 2023. $175 million net present value at 10%. I mentioned we have a profit sharing agreement with the mine site owner, so $105 million of that net present value is ours. Again, these numbers coming from the recent updated 43-101 technical report. We've got about 965,000 gold equivalent ounces we expect to produce for this project. That's copper, lead, zinc, gold, and silver. So give you a little bit of diversified metals exposure there. And $92 million in total capex. We think we'll stage that. So nameplate production will be 3,500 tons per day. And we'll start with a 500 ton per day modular scalable processing facility for about $15 million of the $92 million in capex, and then we'll scale from there. It's worth mentioning that this owner is already reprocessing their tails. They're getting a lead zinc con, so that really makes the operations quite nice for us. We'll be able to come in, basically take the feed directly from their plant, and process the tails, liberate the precious metals, and then split the revenues there with the mine site owner. The Buckins project's really attractive. I'm happy to answer questions on that. It's a little bit of a different project, a legacy project. So in terms of pecking order, Australia will be first. Mexico, once it's signed here in the near term, will actually leapfrog Buckins, simply because, again, it's permitted and operational. Hellyer is also permitted and operational. So the fastest path to free cash flow is really what we're emphasizing in terms of the development of our project portfolio. Overview there of the project, of the Hellyer Project. That's a picture of the site. This is in Tasmania, so it's a Tier 1 jurisdiction in Australia. Again, key permits are already in place. Just under 1 million gold equivalent ounces we expect to produce there. And I've covered, the economic opportunity, but 66% IRR, $350 million in total project cash flows. Resource, very, very well defined. Multiple JORC technical reports have been produced here. And, essentially when you look at the resources that are available to us in these tailings, it's, over 600,000 ounces of gold, over 18 million ounces of silver, but significant quantities of lead, copper, and zinc as well. So just to emphasize, despite the name EnviroGold, obviously gold's very attractive. It drives great project margins in this case, but we're very much interested and providing exposure to the critical and the base metals as well. A couple of the project metrics there for the Hellyer Project. All of this is again available in the 43-101 technical report we've released. It's available on our website. Happy to get into some of the details in the Q&A, but I think I've covered most of the exciting elements here. A little bit of an overview of our process. So the proprietary two-stage leach that we've developed, it's an acid leach, and essential to this process is the catalyst recycling circuit. We expect to digest about 2% of the reagent that we're using, so that's really driving very attractive operating margins for us. And again, we do have a Tier 1 flowsheet development partner here, and happy to answer some additional questions about the process in the Q&A. Some of the major catalysts for our company and what we're looking at in the near term. So we did already over the summer run the process at pilot scale and had great results. We've published the 43-101 technical report, the first of a couple more that'll come out for the Hellyer Project, and again got great results there. We do expect to sign up 2 additional major projects in the near term, both of them in Mexico, both of them again permitted and operational, providing fast path to profit. And I should mention this too, because it's important if you continue to keep track of us, and we trust that you will. We will likely be undertaking a strategic rebranding in the near term, so keep abreast of that development. It's really just so that the market understands that we're aligned with our core identity as a technology company, and not simply focused on gold, but other precious and critical metals as well. A couple of the key company highlights, again, $175 million net present value on our first technology deployment. Massive market that we're targeting. $3.5 trillion contained in global mine tailings. The most attractive and exciting tailings projects are those that will require the technical innovation, and that's what we're specializing in. We do have a buy rating on our stock right now. Actually, Red Cloud's covering us, and our analyst, Kobe Kushner, generally makes himself available to answer questions if anyone has any. And we are really a play on the circular economy. That's another point that we should emphasize is, The ESG has become something of a buzzword. We obviously think that trend is here to stay, and we think that our position as a company that's literally transforming waste into a resource is going to be a fantastic tailwind for us. One other thing that I should mention related to the process, and I may have gone a little bit quickly in the last slide looking at the process, is that when you look at how the process works, what it's doing is essentially oxidizing the pyrite matrix that contains the gold and the silver at the Hellyer Tailings Project, right? So it's about 50% pyrite by volume, and this two-stage acid leach oxidizes the pyrite, but in so doing actually chemically transforms the pyrite so that it's not acid generating. Many of you are aware that the acid rock drainage is one of the most serious and pressing environmental issues facing the mining industry. So our process, not only can it liberate the metals, but it can also reduce the acid drainage potential. So sort of a dual benefit, if you will, for mining companies. And it's worth mentioning that some of the potential strategic investors that we've been speaking with, the large mining companies, have actually been, some of them, more interested in the environmental benefits than the metal liberation benefits. You can imagine for a large company, not only are you potentially reducing the acid rock drainage liabilities, but you're also delaying closure and reclamation, which is very important for a lot of large companies. So we think there's going to be some great opportunities for us to grow into. That pure play environmental remediation revenue stream we think will be significant, and we think ultimately that'll help get a large mining company on our ledger. But in the near term, we're laser focused on generating free cash through metal liberation beginning in 2023. Quick overview of the team, and then we'll take any questions that you might have here. The Hellyer Project's very exciting. It's a very exciting asset, but I think our team is our most exciting and best asset. Our CFO, actually, Zoya Sheshkova, is there in the back, and she'll be available as well if there's any additional questions that anyone would have for her. But we're led at the executive level by Dr. Mark Thorpe, 35 years of experience in over 30 countries. He has a PhD in mine land reclamation. As I mentioned, he's chair of the Canada Mine Innovation Council. A lot of gray hairs on the technical team. We joke about it a bit because most of them have been professionals as long as I've been alive. I'm the youngest person on the team, but really phenomenal team and really capable of executing. Team individuals that have led development projects, resource development projects for their entire careers and been very successful. On the commercial side, we're led by Zoya Sheshkova, our chief financial officer, Deloitte and EY background before getting recruited over into the operating side. The backgrounds there really, management consulting, finance and capital markets, but very strong commercial team. And then our directors, phenomenal group of directors, a very diverse skill set, everything from sort of investments, capital markets, entrepreneurship, to technical specialists like Philippa Veris, who's one of Women in Mining UK's Global 100 inspirational women in mining and a widely recognized expert in environmental and sustainability in the mining sector. So the most recent director, Phil Cray, brings, we think, sort of the last piece to really round us out from a skill set standpoint. Very successful lawyer based in New Zealand, and bringing him aboard has been great because it really increases our efficiencies and capabilities when it comes to negotiating contracts and so on, and actually saves us some legal bills. So great group. And with that, I'll be happy to turn over to Timothy.